Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Just Jay Hernandez, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Rocketeer and Bettie 2-pack from LooseCollector and Executive Replicas. Here we go. Alright, y'all, so today in the house, we're going to be taking a look at the new, fully licensed Rocketeer and Bettie 2-pack from LooseCollector and Executive Replicas. And before I even get into it, yes, I've heard your concerns. Now keep in mind, I myself don't work for Executive Replicas or LooseCollector. I'm not one of their employees. I'm just a guy who likes to collect their figures. So before we turn this video into a message board for complaining, I'll beat you to the punch. Yes, I know. Some of y'all think this set is too expensive. I understand. It may not be in some people's budgets. Times are times. We've all got stuff going on, okay? But to say something overall just isn't worth it, that's not true. I mean, hypothetically, sure, it may not be worth it to you, but it's worth it to me, it's worth it to a whole lot of other folks. All things aren't for all people, and that's fine. You either see the value in something or you don't. That's cool, man. And two, yes, I know some of y'all wish the Rocketeer figure was released in a single pack. Even when I went over that Marvel Legends Venom and Null 2-pack about a year and a half back, yeah, I know a lot of people were disappointed because they wanted one figure or the other figure. I get it. That's legit. I hear you. Some folks, hey, they don't dig on Bettie. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money, you guys. I just like to make content for things I enjoy. And for real, y'all, legitimate, constructive criticism in all things collectible is always welcome. But when we find ourselves criticizing more than collecting, that's a problem, in my opinion. And when that happens, you gotta ask yourself, does this hobby really make me happy? Anyway, I digress. Now that I've gotten off my soapbox, it's time to talk toys. So, the Rocketeer and Bettie, the new 2-pack from LooseCollector and Executive Replicas. As a fan of the Rocketeer and the work of Dave Stevens, I dig it a whole bunch. And I'm incredibly happy to finally have a nice comic Rocketeer here in the collection. Now, Funko's movie figure, that was made back in 2013 or 14. I can't remember when they made it. But yeah, for its time, it was a real banger. Now, granted, close to 10 years later, it crumbled in my hands when I picked it up to do this video, but therein lies another story. This thing is being held together by the magic of sticky tack. Frickin' Funko, man. You guys could have had it all, but them clear joints were a mess. Anyway, back to the 2-pack. As we can see it represents the work of Dave Stevens incredibly well. And Bettie, phew, for my cash, she's a welcome addition. As far as I'm concerned, Bettie is just as important a character as Cliff. I mean, when it comes to Dave Stevens himself, the way he used to draw his women, it was legendary. And it went on to influence the greats of today, like some of my faves, Adam Hughes, Bruce Timm, Frank Cho, and so on. Quick scale, because I know that's important to a lot of folks. LooseCollector's stuff, unlike a lot of other imports, they scale incredibly well with your domestic stuff. Biggest one being Legends. I love how seamlessly they fit in, and me being a big Marvel Legends guy, I love it when stuff like this has the capacity to cross over. There'll be a lot of posing throughout this video, but if you want to skip right to the real posing session, I'll have the time signature for that down in the description below. And so, with all of that said, if you want to hear everything I gotta say about this beautiful 2-pack, go ahead and sit back, relax, and we'll go ahead and take a closer look at both these guys. Alright, so first we'll get right to it. What most of y'all are here for, let's take a look at the Rocketeer. Starting from the top, beautiful sculpt of the Rocketeer's iconic helmet. And, if you can believe it, back in the day when they were making the movie, Hollywood producers wanted to change it because they thought the helmet looked, and I quote, too old-timey. Yeah, that's the point. It's a period piece, you jerks. Anyway, I digress. Yes, like I was saying, sculpt is terrific. Beautiful luster coming from the shine of the helmet. Everything accounted for. Thin rivets. I love it. Now, for my cash, I would have liked just a little bit more expression from the unmasked head. Maybe a little bit more of a smile. But that's just me. Nonetheless, it's very, very sweet to have the variety here. Moving down to the jacket, I like it very, very, very much. Incredibly true to Dave Stevens' work. Dude, he loved to ink just as much as he loved sketching. So he put plenty of detail into the leather. So in turn, we see here plenty of crinkles highlighted by a nice subtle wash of both light and dark. And as we make our way down further, the pants and boots, same style, same amount of detail work, incredibly consistent with what we've seen in the panels of the comic itself. And paint, like I was saying, is both a combination of vibrant and muted, which I think represents the era perfectly. Nice and understated, a variety of shiny and matte where it needs to be. May appear a bit more shiny under all these lights, but I assure you, way more natural looking in person in the best way. Accessories. For openers, hands. Lots and lots of hands. Here, for those of y'all who missed the old way I used to do videos, here we go. All right, that's enough of that nonsense. As you did see in the handoff, as it were, Cliff comes with the Mauser. He's known for packing. One thing I would have loved to go along with this would have been a side holster, because I love me some good weapon storage. Yeah, man, I got to be on the lookout for a third-party alternative here. Also, we have the true to the source rocket pack, and it also comes along with a translucent rocket base, which is strong enough to hold both Cliff and Bettie. I love it. We really do get the bang for the buck here. Now, articulation. I can dig it. Nothing too crazy, but just enough for the points of articulation you'd want to see on any regular guy. There isn't anything about Cliff that's superhuman or even extra limber. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't really leave me wanting. The only thing I would have liked, not necessarily butterflies because it would break up the sculpt, but a ball-jointed shoulder, as it were. Good news is, I know Grendel is going to have those, so I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, anything you see here in Dave Stevens' artwork, Cliff here will be able to do it. Now, getting to Bettie. As with mostly all of Loose Collector's ladies, I frickin' love Bettie. And for real, y'all, it's the perfect tribute to the legend that is Dave Stevens to represent the Rocketeer franchise in figure form with not just Cliff, but with Bettie as well. Now, like I said, Stevens' work, his history with Bettie Page, and the way he drew ladies was just out of this world. And for real, in a hobby where most mainline toy series stray away from, for lack of a better phrase, more provocative silhouettes, Loose Collector and Executive Replicas are the perfect fit for making a Bettie Page figure. I mean, they have a history of making terrific female figures. And just to name a few, you've got Red Sonja, you've got Vampirella, you've got Hell Witch, the list goes on. Anyway, getting back to the matter at hand. Like most of their lady figures, we have some nice accents in the skin tone here and ample articulation. Now, the only things that leave me wanting with Bettie here is I wish, like Purgatory, she had 2 sets of hair. Because as it stands now, it's a little difficult to get Bettie's head back. Some swooped hair would have really added a bit here, especially when flying with Cliff. Another thing I would have loved, and really, we're just talking wish lists here, would have dug on some type of saluting hand, or even like a winking head sculpt, just as an alternative to double down on that old Hollywood pinup feel. However, with what it is we do have, I'm still very satisfied. Also, as like Cliff, Bettie comes with a nice array of hands and a firearm as well. And for real, y'all, for every wishlist item I have here, I have 2 to 3 more things I absolutely love about both these figures. They look awesome, they represent the work of Dave Stevens tremendously, and not only that, they move really well. And speaking of moving, let's go ahead and take a look at the points of articulation. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at scale. Now, scale has always been very, very important to me. Aside from articulation, the one thing I want to know is how does something look and size up with the rest of my stuff? Let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so first up, here's how they size up with a whole bunch of other offerings from LooseCollector. As you can see, Bettie isn't as Amazonian as the rest of LooseCollector's ladies, and I dig that, seeing that, you know, she is based more in realism. And here's how they scale with some comic Marvel Legends of all shapes and sizes. And here's how they scale with some G.I. Joe and some Valaverse. And here's how they scale with some Star Wars Black and some Lightning Collection. Now, as I said before, they scale really well with domestic 12th scale. And here's how they scale with some 7-inch stuff. We got some offerings from NECA and Mattel, and as you can see, yeah, they're definitely a lot better with 12 scale stuff. And second to last round, just a quick catch-all, so you get a better idea of just some different lines. We've got Mafex represented, we've got Mezco, we've got Jada Toys, and mythic legions. And last, but certainly not least, here's how they scale with his first time at bat, the new and improved Deadpool taking the place of Sasquatch Deadpool, and my favorite boy, the new and improved Black Costume Spider-Man. Alright, y'all, so that is basically all I've got for today. So, in closing, like I said, while this 2-pack, it may not be for everybody, it's very, very much for me and for a lot of people. A lot of people are stoked on it. I mean, while some folks are old enough to remember the movie, they don't remember the comics. And when it comes to the comics, Bettie Page was a huge part of that, and also in Dave Stevens' own personal life. So when I say a set like this is a perfect tribute to the work of Dave Stevens in plastic form, it is for real. The perfect tribute to the work of Dave Stevens in plastic form. Now, I'm not here to convince you of anything, though, y'all. Like I mentioned in the preface of this video, I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money. But when folks are saying, why did this have to be a 2-pack, I can give you 1,000,001 reasons why. But for me, like I said, when it comes to these two, there is no Cliff without Bettie, and there's no Bettie without Cliff. It was Dave Stevens himself, thanks to his artwork, that brought a second life to Bettie Page herself, to Bettie Page's own career. She was all but forgotten, but with the folks who influenced Stevens, the frickin' GOATs like Frank Frazetta, Alberto Vargas, Earl Moran, Jim Steranko, through what he learned from them in perfecting the female form on canvas and on paper, he made Bettie Page a household name again. And I love that we have a fully articulated figure of her now. Just as much as I love having a figure of the Rocketeer himself, it's a heck of a time to be a collector, y'all. And there's enough out there for all of us to enjoy. All right, y'all. With that said, we are going to go ahead and sign off. Respect yourself. Respect those around you. We will go ahead and check you later. And as always, stay frosty.
And you can play them only on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
like that. It's like that.
What?
Turn it up, baby.
What? What?
It's like that.
It's been a long, long time since we come and do a course and you would have to drop kick that boy there. Drop kick him, you don't care. You come with a close and a camera just lick him down. You know.